Dr. Bentley, sharpen your pedagogy.
Okay.
It's your turn.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'll try and stick to 10 minutes for this one, and may succeed. I'd just like to begin by saying how very nice it is to be here. This staggeringly magnificent institution set in these grounds. Just to tell you who I am very quickly, I'm working for Trinity College London as an academic consultant. Have been since last September, based in Hyderabad. I'm having a wonderful time here, and my background is in English language teaching in London and also in music. My PhD is in that subject. Well, to have a go, I won't read all of this out, so don't worry about this. Like Akal, Trinity is a charity. We're committed to improving educational standards all over the board. As many of you know, we do music, drama and language, and what I'm doing is looking at how effectively students are able to learn and prepare for testing. This obviously depends a lot on the skills and expertise of the teachers, and we've been looking at the needs of modern teachers and how best to support what people are doing in the classrooms. And I think a lot of what I want to say this morning will be, as it happens, addressing the same things as Dr. Gopal here. So, what is pedagogy? What is pedagogic skills? I think basically people agree there are two broad areas: classroom management and your topic or your content knowledge. In other words, you have to create an atmosphere where your students are able to learn, where it can be calm enough and disciplined enough for them to concentrate. And also, secondly, where the teacher knows the subject area well enough to set objectives for learning and create, as we've been seeing, the most effective learning activities. So if you ask if these two broad factors drive teaching and learning, I think we would all have to say yes. But I think this leaves two questions. How do they best drive learning? And what other factors need to be in place for your pedagogic skills to be most effective? Let's look at the first question. How does it best drive learning? If the two factors of classroom management and content knowledge are the principal features of pedagogy, we can break these down and say, well, yes, the students have to sit quietly in rows or groups, and they have to look at the teacher, and the teacher should use the students' names, not just chorally shout at them, offer a variety of activities, pace the lessons. Or we can say a teacher must have a certain level and knowledge of English, would know how to teach the grammar, and must know what order to do things, how to write in different styles, etc., etc. This is not untrue. And of course, these are very important points. But this is unfortunate because the way we're taught to teach means that classroom management and what you're teaching are viewed as two different things. I mean, all of you who are teachers, you must remember this in your colleges, that classroom management is taught as a separate topic. But I would say that these two approaches have to be folded together, or they don't work. So it's very much more difficult for you and very much less rewarding for the children. Do we all agree? Children learn best when they're motivated and they're engaged, yeah? Yeah. And I think we assume this rests on the content side, which is to say, as teachers, we've got to choose interesting things to do, plan our lessons well, and engage the students. So in this way, classroom management comes into content knowledge. We take the content and we think about how we can deliver the content to the children. That's what I mean by a skill, one skill being channeled into another. But I think many teachers then get frustrated because some of the children are not engaged, despite our best efforts. Or we get angry when they won't sit still or they won't listen to you. or they can't learn. And of course, this disruptiveness in learning is a sign they are not engaged with what you're doing. So in order to counteract this, I suggest there's a third factor that joins the two elements of these pedagogic skills. And this is the students themselves, as Dr. Gopal was saying, the students themselves and what they themselves bring to the learning process. So it's not all about us as teachers using our pedagogic skills, but about how we harness the input of our students so these skills have a real impact on their learning. And I think the key is student autonomy. Now, I realize for many of us, autonomy is a scary word. The images of lots of children sitting at the desks by themselves doing their own thing. And we often worry that if students themselves take responsibility for their learning, then they won't learn enough. Then they'll fail their exams, and in turn, this will be your fault as a teacher. So I'd like you to put those thoughts to one side and consider a different dimension to autonomy, which is really what I'm going to talk about. By autonomy, we mean the students are bringing their own experiences of life to bear, again, as Dr. Gopal was saying. We all like to think of ourselves as individuals, don't we? We've got something to say, and we want to be valued for what we want to say and for ourselves. So why don't we exploit this in the learning environment? Let's give you an example from English language. Language itself is an expression of yourself and your identity. Think about that. And it's vitally important that in the process of learning, shall we say, grammar or vocabulary or how to write, that we are expressing ourselves. Even from a relatively basic stage of learning, students can be given classroom activities which allow them to choose what they talk about and how they talk about it. In our Trinity assessments, for example, the exams consist of the students choosing what they want to talk about, their favourite sports team, their specialist interest. And this has three incredibly powerful effects. Firstly, it means that going back to what we said at the beginning, students are engaged and motivated because they're talking about their own genuine interests. And as I say, we all love talking about ourselves. And this engagement promotes faster learning and deeper learning. My second point, because the students are speaking about something authentic to themselves, they actually perform better and they get better grades, which is itself incredibly motivating. In Trinity, we've done a lot of research about this, and it's indicated that achievement scores are higher and learning much faster because, particularly, this feature of personal choice. The most important point, because the activity the students are undertaking is a genuine reflection of themselves, they can see a real connection between their learning and the real world outside school. And this is perhaps the most important learning tool of all. To go back to my original point, this means that classroom management can happen by itself. The teacher does not have to employ special techniques because the students are managed by the fact of their engagement in their learning. So I'd like to propose to you that activities which allow the students autonomy or choice are the link between the two elements of pedagogic skills that allow these skills to be employed most effectively. So to finish, as I said at the beginning, we need to consider the factors needed to be in place before these pedagogic skills can be employed by the teacher. Some of these hinge on money. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we had unlimited resources? Or perhaps the involvement of other people. For example, parents. Wouldn't it be nice if all your children's parents were very committed to their children's learning? But most of us do not live in an ideal world, and we have to manage with what we've actually got. And most teachers do this very, very well. But to focus on pedagogy again, I think there are two critical factors which drive success. They are the curriculum and the assessments used to measure students' achievement. Of course, you may have more or less control over the curriculum that you have to deliver, but we are all honor bound to recognize the impact on learning and to contribute whatever our role to ongoing review and improvement. There is no doubt that curricula which are forward-looking and seek to develop skills in students which prepare them for the 21st century are the ones which have the most impact. In English language, these curriculum focus basically on testing what students know and what they can do. And I'm interested in the communicative approach, communication skills, which raise confidence, preparing students for work and the global skills of the new international world of work. In other words, curriculum which recognize the broader remit of learning, not just about acquiring